Arsenal's squad depth this season has reached a level that has not been seen in years, and it has completely changed the outlook for Mikel Arteta's side as they continue to compete on all fronts. For a long time, Arsenal were accused of having a strong starting 11 but little quality beyond that. Once a couple of injuries hit, the performance levels would drop, and their title challenges or European ambitions would collapse. That narrative feels outdated now because this current Arsenal squad is stacked with talent across every department of the pitch. In goal, Arsenal are unique in having two number ones in David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale. It is not often that a top club has two goalkeepers who are both capable of starting week in, week out, but Arsenal have exactly that. Raya's calm distribution and command of the penalty area make him a perfect fit for Arteta's tactical vision, while Ramsdale's reflexes, charisma, and leadership qualities ensure he remains a valuable asset. The competition between them drives standards and prevents complacency. Even in the event of an injury, Arsenal would not be scrambling for a replacement, which is the kind of luxury top sides need when chasing trophies. The defense is arguably where Arsenal's depth shines brightest. William Saliba has established himself as one of the best centre-backs in world football, and alongside him, Gabriel has been a rock of consistency. Yet the options behind them are just as strong. Take hero Tomiyasu can fill in at centre-back or either full-back position, bringing versatility and defensive solidity. Ben White has seamlessly transitioned into a right-back role but can still operate centrally if required. Jurrien Timber, despite his injury struggles, remains one of the most exciting defensive signings, capable of playing across the back line with composure and technical quality. Oleksandr Zinchenko's ability to invert into midfield adds tactical variety, while Jakub Kiwior has shown he is a reliable deputy with calmness in possession and physicality in duels. That pool of defenders gives Arteta the freedom to rotate and tailor his back line depending on the opposition, a massive upgrade from previous years when Arsenal's defense fell apart after one or two injuries. The midfield is where Arsenal's ambition really shows. Declan Rice has been transformational since arriving, offering balance, defensive cover, and progressive passing. Next to him, Ødegaard provides creativity, leadership, and the ability to unlock defenses with his vision. Kai Havertz, after an uncertain start, has begun to find his rhythm, giving Arsenal an extra attacking outlet from deeper areas. Thomas Partey, when fit, remains a world-class midfielder, capable of dominating both defensively and offensively. Jorginho provides experience, control, and composure in possession, especially in high-pressure matches. Then there are the likes of Smith Rowe and Vieira, who can come off the bench and inject energy, unpredictability, and technical flair. With so many profiles in midfield, Arteta has solutions for different situations: control games, go more attacking, or lock things down defensively. This depth means Arsenal can navigate the intensity of the Premier League, Champions League, and domestic cups without running players into the ground. The attack, however, is where fans' excitement really skyrockets. Bukayo Saka has developed into one of the best wingers in world football, but the days of him being overplayed are coming to an end. Leandro Trossard has proven to be an invaluable option, able to play across the front line and deliver goals and assists whenever called upon. Gabriel Martinelli's electric pace and directness make him a nightmare for defenders, and his competition with Trossard ensures he never drops his standards. Gabriel Jesus, despite his injury issues, brings intensity, pressing, and link-up play that lifts the whole team. Nketiah offers a more traditional number 9 option, and though he may not always start, his contributions as a backup striker are undeniable. Rice Nelson, though used sparingly, has shown he can change games with his energy and dribbling. The addition of Rodrygo raises Arsenal's front line to another level entirely. A player of his caliber adds Champions League winning experience, flair, and consistent end product. The fact that someone of his quality can slot into an attack already filled with top-tier players speaks volumes about the squad's transformation. This depth gives Arteta tactical flexibility and allows him to rotate without fearing a drop-off. If Arsenal want to press high, Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka are relentless in their energy. If they need more control, Havertz and Trossard can offer a different kind of fluidity. If they want directness, Rodrygo and Martinelli stretch defenses with their pace. Arsenal now have options for every possible game state, something that makes them far less predictable to opponents. One of the biggest benefits of this depth is how it reduces the impact of injuries. In previous years, losing someone like Saliba or Saka would have derailed Arsenal's season. Last campaign, for instance, Saliba's injury late in the season coincided with Arsenal's title challenge collapsing. Now, while Saliba is still irreplaceable in many ways, Arteta has Timber, Tomiyasu, White, and Kiwior to shuffle things around and maintain defensive stability. Similarly, if Saka needs a rest, Arsenal can rely on Rodrygo, Nelson, or Trossard to step in. This ability to rotate without significant decline is what separates title challengers from actual champions. Another underrated factor is the internal competition this creates. Every player knows they cannot take their place for granted. Ramsdale pushing Raya, White pushing Tomiyasu, Trossard pushing Martinelli, Vieira pushing Havertz. These battles for starting spots mean players are constantly operating at their highest level. That competitive environment breeds improvement across the board and ensures complacency never sets in. It is the type of culture that Pep Guardiola has fostered at Manchester City, and Arsenal are beginning to replicate it. The depth also allows Arteta to be more creative in how he approaches games. Against weaker opponents, he can rotate heavily without losing control. Against top rivals, he can field his strongest 11 but still have match winners on the bench. Arsenal's substitutes now genuinely change games. Bringing on Trossard, Smith Rowe, or Nelson against tired legs is a huge advantage. Adding Partey or Jorginho late in games gives Arsenal the ability to see out tight contests. Having Rodrygo as a rotation option makes them unpredictable and forces opposition managers to constantly adapt. In Europe, this depth becomes even more vital. Competing in the Champions League requires a different level of intensity, and the schedule can be brutal. With this squad, Arsenal can rotate between midweek and weekend games without overburdening their stars. Players like Kiwior, Vieira, and Nketiah can start in certain fixtures, while the likes of Saka, Rice, and Ødegaard can be managed more carefully across the season. It is the kind of squad management Arsenal could never dream of a few years ago when the drop-off between starters and backups was stark. This depth has also changed the perception of Arsenal externally. Opponents no longer see them as a team with a thin squad waiting to collapse under pressure. Instead, Arsenal are respected as a side with the resources, quality, and mentality to compete with Manchester City. The days of being labelled as brittle or lightweight are fading, replaced with recognition that Arsenal now have a deep, robust, and hungry group of players. Ultimately, squad depth is not just about having numbers, but having quality in every position, and Arsenal finally have that. They are no longer reliant on a core 11 but can trust 20 players to step up when called upon. It is this transformation that makes them genuine contenders not just for the Premier League, but also for Europe's biggest prize.